Captain Daeho Kim stood in the center of the Great Hall. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. Tall pillars reached up to a ceiling that seemed to touch the stars. Around him sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Their eyes, some with 3 pupils and others glowing like fire, all stared at him with cold judgment. The Galactic Council had called this meeting. Daeho knew why he was here. For months, whispers had spread through the galaxy about humanity. The aliens called humans dangerous. They said humans were too wild, too quick to fight, too different from everyone else. Nari Park sat in the human section behind him. She was Earth's best diplomat, a woman who had spent years trying to make friends with alien races. Her face was pale as she watched the council members talk in their strange languages. Some made clicking sounds with their mouths. Others spoke, without moving their lips at all, using only their minds. Admiral Hyunwoo Lee shifted in his seat. His uniform was clean and pressed, but his hands were tight on his chair arms. He commanded the human fleet, and he knew what this meeting would bring. Bad news, very bad news. The lead council member was a tall, thin creature with silver skin. Its name was hard for humans to say, so everyone just called it the Speaker. It stood up slowly, its long arms hanging at its sides like dead branches. "The council has reached its decision," the Speaker said. Its voice was like metal scraping against stone. "The human species has been judged." Daeho felt his heart beat faster. He had known this moment would come, but knowing and feeling were different things. Behind him, he heard Nari take a sharp breath. "Humans are violent," the Speaker continued. "In 50 years, you have fought 12 wars. You have built weapons that can destroy planets. You refuse to let us read your minds to know your true thoughts. This makes you dangerous to the peace we have built." Dr. So Jin Choi, who sat near the back, felt tears start in her eyes. She had worked with alien scientists for years. She thought they were friends, but now, none of them would look at her. They all turned away when she tried to catch their eyes. The Speaker raised one long finger. "The Syrians have shown us the violence in human thoughts. The Corvan Empire has seen how quickly you learn to make war. The ethereal collective has found chaos where there should be order." Admiral Lee stood up. "We have followed every law of the Council," he said, his voice strong and clear. "We have honored every treaty. We have helped you fight pirates and rebels. How can you call us dangerous when we have bled for your peace?" A Corvan delegate, a creature that looked like a giant bug covered in blue armor, made a harsh sound. "You helped us fight because you enjoy fighting. You smile when you hold weapons. This is not normal. This is wrong." Daeho stepped forward. "We fight to protect what we love. We smile because we are alive and free. Is this so terrible?" The Speaker's silver face showed no feeling. "The Council has decided. All human colonies in the inner systems must be abandoned. All trade agreements are ended. All protection under galactic law is removed. You have 30 days to gather your people and leave." The words hit the humans like a physical blow. Nari stood up, her voice shaking. "Where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do?" "The Outer Rim is open to you," the Speaker said. "Beyond the spiral arm, where Council law does not reach. There are planets there, empty planets. You may settle them if you can." Dr. Choi knew about the Outer Rim. It was a place of dead worlds and ancient ruins. Pirates hid there. Strange things happened there. Ships went in and never came out. It was where the galaxy sent its trash and forgot about it. "That's a death sentence," Admiral Lee said. "You know what's out there. You're sending us to die." A Syrian delegate, whose large head pulsed with pale light, spoke without opening its mouth. The words appeared in everyone's mind. "Death is what you choose. We offer you life. If you can, take it. The choice is yours, as it has always been." Daeho looked around the room. Hundreds of alien eyes stared back at him. Some showed pity. Most showed fear. A few showed satisfaction, as if they were happy to see the humans go. "We understand," Deho said finally. "We will gather our people. We will leave your precious inner systems, but remember this day, all of you. Remember when you chose fear over friendship. Remember when you sent away the only people who would die for strangers." The speaker nodded once. "The decision is final. Transport ships will escort your fleets to ensure you reach the outer rim safely. May you find what you seek in the dark between the stars." As the humans left the Great Hall, Sojin felt the weight of 1,000,000 stares on her back. She had spent her life studying alien cultures, learning their ways, trying to build bridges between species. Now all of that work was gone, destroyed by fear and misunderstanding. Outside the hall, the three humans stood together in the alien city. Tall buildings of crystal and metal reached toward the sky. Flying vehicles moved between them like glowing fish in a glass ocean. It was beautiful, but now it felt cold and empty. 30 days, Admiral Lee said. "We need to move fast. There are 2 million humans in the inner systems. Getting them all out will be the largest evacuation in history." Nari nodded, but her eyes were distant. "We'll need supplies, fuel, food. They won't sell to us anymore. How do we feed 2 million people on the journey to nowhere?" "We'll find a way," Deho said. "We always do. That's what makes us human. That's what scares them so much." The three humans walked through the alien city toward their ship. They had work to do, people to save, a future to build from nothing. Behind them, the Great Hall gleamed in the alien sun, beautiful and cold as the judgment it had delivered. Jinho Song watched the last shuttle lift off from New Geneva's main spaceport. The small ship carried a family of farmers who had spent 20 years making the red soil bloom with earth crops. Their children had been born here. This was the only world they had ever known as home. Now they were leaving forever. Jinho was the colony administrator. It was his job to make sure everyone got out safely. But watching families pack their whole lives into small bags made his chest feel tight. They had to leave behind houses, farms, pets, and graves, everything that made a place home. The evacuation ships waited in orbit like a metal city in space. Old cargo haulers, passenger liners, even mining ships had been turned into refugee transports. They were ugly and cramped, but they would have to do. There was no time to build better ships. Yoonji Han floated in zero gravity inside the engine room of the transport ship New Hope. Her tools drifted around her as she worked on the power systems. The ship was meant to carry ore, not people. She had to install life support systems, sleeping areas, and kitchens. The work never stopped. "The oxygen recyclers are acting up again," called her assistant through the comm. "They're not designed for this many people." Yoonji wiped sweat from her face. "Patch them with whatever you can find. We'll make proper repairs when we reach the rim." If we reach the rim, she thought, but didn't say. The alien technology they had been using for years was breaking down. The Council had sent messages to all manufacturers. No more parts for humans. No more repairs. No more help. Yoonji had to make things work with spare parts and hope. Minho Yoon stood on the bridge of the fleet command ship, looking at the tactical display. Red dots showed alien warships surrounding the human fleet. The aliens called them escorts, but Minho knew guards when he saw them. They were making sure the humans really left. A communication came in from a Corvan battlecruiser. The insect-like. Captain appeared on the screen, its 4 arms crossed over its armored chest. "Human fleet, you are moving too slowly," the alien said. "The Council expects you to be gone in 26 days. "We're moving as fast as we can," Minho replied. "We have children and old people aboard. We can't push the engines too hard." The Corvan's large eyes reflected no sympathy. "Your problems are not our concern. Move faster, or we will provide motivation." The screen went black. Minho looked at the weapons display. The human fleet had some military ships, but they were outnumbered 10 to 1. Fighting would only get people killed. They had to swallow their pride and keep moving. Hyawan Kong moved through the medical bay of the transport ship, Freedom's Dream. The converted cargo hold was packed with beds. Sick people, old people, and tired people filled every space. The smell of too many humans in too small a place was getting stronger every day. "Doctor, we're running low on medicine again," said her nurse, a young man named Taisik. Hwan checked her supplies. They had brought everything they could, but it wasn't enough. People were getting sick from the stress, the bad air, and the fear. Children cried all the time. Adults stared at nothing with empty eyes. "Give them what we have," she said, "and keep people talking. Stories, songs, anything to keep their spirits up. Despair kills faster than disease." But even as she said it, Hyawan felt despair creeping into her own heart. Where were they going? What would they find in the outer rim? How many would die before they reached whatever home waited for them? Jiwoo Lim was young, only 23, but she could fly anything with engines. Her small fighter ship darted between the big transports like a fish swimming around whales. She was on another supply run, trying to find food and fuel from neutral traders. Most aliens wouldn't trade with humans anymore, but a few independent merchants still took human credits. Jiwoo met them at the edge of systems, far from council eyes. The trades were dangerous and expensive, but they kept the fleet moving. "This is the last time," said the trader, a furry creature with 6 arms. "Council says anyone who helps humans will lose their license. Too risky now." Jiwoo loaded the last container of food into her ship. It would feed maybe 1,000 people for a week. Not enough, never enough, but every meal counted. "Thanks for what you've done," she said. "We won't forget." The trader's large eyes looked sad. "Humans are good people. This exile is wrong, but I have a family too. Sorry." Jiwoo flew back to the fleet thinking about the trader's words. Even the aliens who liked humans were afraid to help them. The council's fear was spreading like a disease. Back on the flagship, Captain Daeho Kim read reports from all the colony. Worlds. New Geneva was empty. New Tokyo was empty. New Berlin was empty. 30 human worlds abandoned. Millions of people cramped into ships, heading into the unknown. But something strange was happening. Admiral Lee had noticed it first. The humans were working together like never before. Earth people, Mars people, colony people. The old divisions didn't matter anymore. They were all just humans now, facing the dark together. Dr. Sojin Choi was helping in the children's section of her transport. The alien toys and books had been left behind, but human children were playing new games. They drew pictures of the outer rim as a place of adventure, not exile. Their hope was stronger than adult fear. "Tell us about the old worlds again," asked a little girl named Ha-Young. So Jin sat down with the children. "Long ago, before the council, there were other people among the stars. They built great cities and amazing machines. Maybe we'll find some of their secrets out there." The children listened with bright eyes. To them, this wasn't exile. It was exploration. Maybe they were right. Maybe the adults had forgotten what humans did best, turned disasters into opportunities. As the fleet moved toward the edge of council space, something was growing among the refugees. Not just fear or sadness, but determination. They had been cast out, but they were still alive. They were still human, and humans didn't give up. The last transport left the inner systems on day 28. Behind them, alien colonists were already moving into the worlds humans had built. But ahead of them lay the outer rim, dark and full of possibilities. No one knew what they would find there. Ancient ruins, dead worlds, maybe worse things, but they would face it together, as one people. The galaxy had tried to scatter them to the winds. Instead, it had forged them into something stronger, the greatest. Human adventure was just beginning. The first world they found was a graveyard. Taemin Ko stepped off the landing shuttle onto ground that crunched under his boots. Everything was gray. The soil, the twisted metal structures, even the sky. This had been a city once. Now it was ruins that stretched to the horizon. "Readings show the planet died about 3,000 years ago," said his assistant, a young woman named Mi-Ra who carried the scanning equipment. "Whatever happened here, it was fast." Taemin picked up a piece of metal. It was covered in symbols. That looked almost familiar, but not quite. Like looking at your reflection in broken water. "These weren't made by any species we know. Someone else lived here. Someone else died here." The human fleet had been traveling for 6 months since leaving Council space. They had found dozens of dead worlds like this one. All empty, all silent, all covered with the ruins of people who were gone. Yujin Bay stood on a hill overlooking the site chosen for the first human colony. The planet had water and air, which was more than they could hope for. The land was rocky and hard, but humans had made worse places bloom. They would call it New Terra. "The soil needs work," said the farming expert, an older man named Dongsu. "But we can fix it. Give us 2 years and we'll have crops growing." "We might not have 2 years," Yujin replied. She was the colony governor now, chosen by the other refugees. It was a job she never wanted but couldn't refuse. "Food supplies will run out in 8 months. We need to grow something before then." Behind them, the first buildings were going up. Simple boxes made from local materials and salvaged ship parts. They were ugly but functional. Home was what you made it, not what it looked like. The real problem wasn't food or shelter, it was hope. Too many people sat in their small rooms and stared at nothing. They talked about the old worlds, the good times, the life they had lost. Living in the past was easier than facing the hard present. Shungho Jiang didn't have time for sadness. He was too busy being amazed. The alien ruins were full of technology beyond anything the Council species had ever built. Power sources that still worked after thousands of years, materials that were stronger than steel but light as plastic, machines that seemed to think. "Look at this," he called to his research team. They were exploring an underground complex on the third planet. The corridors were tall and wide, built for people much larger than humans. But the technology was beautiful. He found a room full of crystal formations that glowed with soft light. When he touched one, it showed him images, star maps, mathematical equations, pictures of the people who had built this place. They were tall and thin with 4 arms and faces like carved stone, beautiful and alien and very dead. They called themselves the Forerunners, Shungho said, reading the symbols with translation software. They explored the galaxy before the Council existed, before anyone we know existed. The most interesting discovery was in the central chamber, a machine that was still active, its lights blinking in slow patterns. When Shungho's team connected their computers to it, they found something incredible. The machine was a teacher, designed to share knowledge with whoever found it. Bo Young Nam was having a different kind of problem. Pirates had found the human colonies. The attack came at dawn. 3 ships, small and fast, hit the mining outpost. On the 4th moon. They killed 6 workers and stole equipment worth months of labor. Then they disappeared into the asteroid field before the human patrol ships could respond. "They think we're easy targets," Bo Young told the Colony Council. She was the security chief, a former soldier who had fought in the border wars. "Refugees with old ships and no support. They're wrong." The next pirate attack was very different. Bo Young's people were ready. They used tactics the pirates had never seen before, human tactics. Instead of meeting force with force, they made the pirates come to them. They used the terrain, they used deception, they used the enemy's confidence against them. When the smoke cleared, 2 pirate ships were burning, and the 3rd was running. The pirates had expected weak refugees. They found warriors who thought differently than any species they knew. Dr. Changmin-Oh was working on the biggest discovery of all. In the deepest part of the Forerunner ruins, he had found something that changed everything. A power source that used principles the Council species had never imagined. It's not fusion or antimatter, he explained to the colony leaders. It's something else. They're pulling energy from space itself, from the basic structure of reality. If we can understand this, the implications were staggering. Unlimited power, faster ships, technology that could transform human civilization. But it was also dangerous. The Forerunners had been advanced beyond imagination, and they were still dead. Why did they disappear? Asked Yujin. What happened to them? Changmin pointed to the star maps the Forerunners had left behind. Look at the dates. 3,000 years ago, they suddenly stopped exploring, stopped building. All their worlds went quiet at the same time. Plague, war, natural disaster. I don't think so. I think they were destroyed. By someone. By something that didn't want them to grow too powerful. The human colonies were growing despite the dangers. New Terra now had 50,000 people. Other worlds were being settled. Children were being born who would never know Earth. The Outer Rim was becoming home. But the humans weren't the same people who had left Council space. The soft life of the inner worlds was gone. Here, everyone worked. Everyone fought when needed. Everyone contributed or everyone suffered. Taemin's archaeological teams were mapping Forerunner ruins across dozens of worlds. Each site told part of the story. The Forerunners had been explorers, builders, teachers. They had wanted to fill the galaxy with knowledge and life. Then something had stopped them. We're following their path, Taemin told Yujin during one of their evening meetings. Same worlds, same ruins, same technology. What if whatever killed them is still out there? Yujin looked out the window at the lights of New Terra's growing city. Human lights, human homes, human hopes made real in the darkness. Then we'll face it like we've faced everything else, together. The Forerunner teaching machines were sharing their secrets slowly. Humans were learning to build better ships, stronger materials, more efficient power systems. But the most important lesson wasn't technical. It was philosophical. The Forerunners had believed that life should grow and spread and learn. They had helped younger species reach the stars. They had shared their knowledge freely. They had been everything the current galactic civilization was not. Maybe that's why they had died. Maybe that's why the humans had been exiled. Some things in the galaxy didn't want life to grow too strong or spread too far. Some things preferred the quiet order of stagnation to the chaos of growth. But humans had never been good at staying quiet. As their colonies grew stronger and their technology advanced, word began to spread through the Outer Rim. Something new was happening out here. Something the galaxy hadn't seen for 3,000 years. The age of the Forerunners was over. The age of humanity was just beginning. 20 years had passed since the exile, and Admiral Wu Jin Seo barely remembered Earth. He had been 8 years old when his family left the inner worlds. Now he commanded the newest human warship, the Forerunner's Dream, built with technology. That would have amazed his father. The ship moved through space like a living thing. Its hull was made from Forerunner materials that could repair themselves. Its engines used the strange energy source that Dr. Changmin Oh had discovered decades ago. Most importantly, its crew thought like humans, flexible, creative, unpredictable. Admiral, we're getting distress signals from the border, reported his communications officer, a young woman named Ji Young. 3 human merchant ships under attack by unknowns. Wu Jin studied the tactical display. The attackers weren't pirates. Their ships were too advanced, too organized, and they were destroying everything they touched, not trying to steal cargo. Battle. Stations, he ordered. Send word to Fleet Command. This isn't a raid. This is something new. Dr. Yan Soo Kim sat in her office on New Terra, reading intelligence reports that made her blood cold. She was the daughter of the original Captain Daeho Kim, who had died defending a colony world 5 years ago. Now she served as the Outer Rim Federation's intelligence chief, and the news from the galaxy was terrifying. The Galactic Council was falling apart. The Syrian telepathic network had developed some kind of disease that was driving the mind readers insane. The Corvan Empire was fighting 3 civil wars at once. The Ethereal Collective had sealed their borders and stopped talking to anyone. But that wasn't the worst part. According to her sources, something was eating the outer edges of the galaxy. Whole systems were going dark. Ships that went to investigate never came back. The few survivors who escaped spoke of machines that turned living worlds into metal and death. "Ma'am, we have a priority message from Admiral Seo," said her assistant, a quiet man named Junho. The message was short and horrifying. The unknown attackers had reached human space. They weren't interested in conquest or resources. They were interested in extinction. Commander Sujin Ryu led the deep exploration mission to the far edge of Forerunner space. Her ship, the Far Horizon, was the most advanced vessel humanity had ever built. Its Forerunner-enhanced sensors could see across entire star systems. Its shields could stop almost any weapon. Its crew was hand-picked from the best the Outer Rim had to offer. What they found in the dead systems beyond the Rim changed everything. "These aren't Forerunner ruins," said the ship's archaeologist, Dr. Dong Hyun Shin. He was studying the wreckage of what had once been a vast space station. "This is something else. Something that came after." The station had been built to watch the galaxy. Its sensors were pointed inward, toward Council space, toward the spiral arms where life flourished. And it had been destroyed by weapons that turned matter into something else entirely. "Look at these burn patterns," Sujin said, examining the sensor data. "Whatever hit this place, it converted the metal into more of itself, like a virus, but made of machines." In the station's central core, they found something that made Sujin's heart race. A partially intact data storage unit. When Dong Hyun connected it to their computers, the truth about the Forerunners came flooding out. They hadn't disappeared. They had been murdered. The mechanical destroyers came from beyond the galactic edge, from the dark space between galaxies. Every few thousand years, they swept through the spiral arms, destroying any civilization that grew too advanced. The Forerunners had been their last major target. Before that, it had been a race called the Architects. Before them, the Star Shepherds. The pattern was always the same. When a species began to expand too quickly, to learn too much, to threaten the ancient order, the machines came. They cleaned the galaxy of excessive life and returned it to a manageable state of stagnation. "The Council species," Dong Hyun said, his voice hollow. "They're not the galaxy's elder races. They're the survivors, the ones who learned to stay small and quiet and safe." The worst part was in the final logs. The Forerunners had sent warnings to the younger species. They had tried to prepare them for what was coming. But the survivors, the ancestors of the modern council, had chosen to hide the truth. They had decided that ignorance was safer than resistance. Back on New Terra, Yeon-Soo Kim received the Far Horizons report and felt the universe shift around her. Everything made sense now. The exile, the fear of human expansion, the council's obsession with controlling dangerous species. "They knew," she said to Governor Eugene Bay, who was now an old woman but still sharp as a blade. "The council knew this was coming. They exiled us because they thought we were growing too fast, becoming too dangerous. They sent us out here to die so the machines would eat us first." Eugene was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. "They made a mistake. They thought exile would weaken us. Instead, it made us stronger, and now we know something they don't." "What's that?" "How to fight back." The first real attack came 3 days later. A mechanical fleet emerged from deep space and headed straight for the most distant human colonies. They moved in perfect formation, their ships black and angular and wrong. They didn't respond to radio signals. They didn't issue demands. They just came to kill. Admiral Wu Jin Seo met them at the edge of the Kepler system. His fleet was outnumbered, 3-1. But he had advantages the machines couldn't understand. Human ships could change tactics in mid-battle. Human crews could improvise solutions to impossible problems. And humans had learned to use Forerunner technology in ways the Forerunners never imagined. The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. The machine ships fired weapons that could disintegrate matter. Human ships dodged and weaved like dancers, their Forerunner shields turning death beams into light shows. When the machines tried to adapt, humans changed their tactics again. In the end, half the human fleet was destroyed, but all the machine ships were burning wrecks. More importantly, human scientists had captured intact machine technology. For the first time in thousands of years, someone had fought the destroyers and won. The victory came at a cost. The machines now knew that humans existed and could fight back. The next attack would be bigger, stronger, more determined. And behind the machines, somewhere in the dark between galaxies, something ancient and patient was turning its attention toward the spiral arms. News of the battle reached Council. Space within days. For the first time in decades, alien delegations began arriving at the edge of human territory, not as conquerors or judges, but as beggars. The same species that had exiled humanity now came asking for help. Yeon-Soo Kim met the first delegation, a group of terrified Syrians whose telepathic abilities were failing. "Please," said their leader, its mental voice weak and desperate. "You must help us. You're the only ones who can fight them." Yeon-Soo looked at the aliens who had cast her people into the darkness. They were afraid now, desperate now, broken now. They offered trade agreements, territorial concessions, full membership in the council, anything to save themselves. "We'll consider it," she said finally. "But if we help you, it won't be as your servants or junior partners. It'll be as your equals, or maybe your superiors." The Syrian delegate's large eyes showed shock, then something that might have been respect. "The young have become the old. The exiled have become the saviors. Perhaps this is how it was always meant to be." The greatest war in galactic history was about to begin, and this time humanity wouldn't be running. President Jae-hyun Moon stood before the Outer Rim Federation Council, looking at the faces of people who had been born in exile. 3 generations had passed since humans first came to this dark corner of the galaxy. These young leaders had never known the inner worlds or the Council's protection. They had built their civilization from nothing. "The aliens are begging for our help," said Fleet Admiral Soo Young-an. She was a small woman with steel in her voice. "The same aliens who threw us away like garbage. Now they want us to die for them." "They're offering us everything," replied Foreign Minister Tae Jin-han. "Full council membership, trade rights, access to their technology, all the things we were denied." President Moon raised his hand for silence. "The question isn't what they're offering. The question is, what's right? Do we let billions of innocent people die because their leaders were fools?" The debate had been raging for weeks. The machine destroyers were moving deeper into the galaxy, consuming world after world. The Council fleets couldn't stop them. Traditional weapons were useless against ships that could turn matter into more of themselves. Only human tactics and Forerunner technology had proven effective. Dr. Yeon-Soo Kim presented the latest intelligence reports. "The machines are following the same pattern they used against the Forerunners. Systematic destruction, moving from the rim toward the core. If we don't stop them, they'll reach Earth in 6 months." The mention of Earth made the room go quiet. Most of the people here had never seen humanity's birth world, but it still meant something. Home, origin. The place where humans first looked up at the stars and decided to reach for them. "If we fight," said Admiral An, "we fight on our terms. No council command structure, no alien admirals telling us how to run our ships. We lead or we don't participate." President Moon nodded. The old humanity might have accepted junior status, grateful for any chance to help. But exile had burned away that willingness to bow. The humans of the Outer Rim had learned to stand tall. Captain Mi Kyung Cho watched the mixed fleet forming around New Terra. Human ships with their flowing lines and adaptive technology flew alongside angular Corvan cruisers and crystalline Syrian vessels. It should have been a beautiful sight. All the galaxy's species working together against a common enemy. Instead, it was chaos. The Corvan Admiral wants to charge straight at the enemy, reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Young Min Park. The Syrian commander wants to use telepathic coordination. The ethereal delegate won't even talk to anyone. Mi Kyung sighed. This was why the galaxy had been stagnant for so long. Each species was locked into their own way of thinking, unable to adapt or learn from others. Humans had always been different. They absorbed ideas from everywhere, mixed them together, and created something new. "Signal all ships," she ordered. "Human tactics will guide this operation. Anyone who can't follow human orders can stay behind and defend their home worlds." The first test came at the Battle of Rigel Prime. The machine fleet had surrounded the system, slowly converting the planets into more ships and weapons. The combined galactic fleet moved to intercept them, but the aliens wanted to use traditional tactics, overwhelming firepower and direct assault. Captain Cho had other ideas. "We don't fight their strengths," she explained to the alien commanders. "We use their weaknesses. They adapt quickly to anything they've seen before, so we show them something new every time." The battle became a masterpiece of human tactical thinking. While the alien ships provided heavy firepower, human vessels darted through the enemy formations like needles through cloth. They used Forerunner shields to survive impossible attacks, then struck at the machine's vulnerable points with weapons that changed configuration mid-battle. Engineer Kyung-Ho Park had spent months studying captured machine technology. His teams had learned to turn the destroyer's greatest strength against them. The machines converted matter by imposing their pattern on it. But what happened when you gave them matter that couldn't hold a pattern? Quantum foam torpedoes, he called them. Weapons that existed in multiple states at once. When the machines tried to convert them, the unstable matter would collapse into pure energy. For the first time, the destroyer's own conversion beams were being used to destroy them. The victory at Rigel Prime was complete. An entire machine fleet reduced to scrap metal and fading energy, but more importantly, the galaxy had seen something it hadn't witnessed in millennia. Rapid technological innovation born from cooperation between species. Commander Young-Soo Beck led the final assault on the Machine Command Center above Centralis Prime, the Council's capital world. The planet where humans had once been judged and exiled was now the last stand for galactic civilization. The machine fleet here was vast, blocking out the stars with their dark hulls. They had been building for months, converting asteroids and moons into weapons, but they still thought in terms of overwhelming force and perfect coordination. Young-Soo's attack force was smaller, but infinitely more flexible. Human ships carried alien crews who had learned human tactics. Alien vessels were equipped with hybrid Forerunner human technology. Most importantly, every ship's crew included at least one human to provide the unpredictable thinking that machines couldn't counter. "They're trying to box us in," reported his sensor operator, Ensign Hana Kim. "Standard encirclement pattern." Then, "We don't fight the encirclement," Young-Soo replied. "We turn it inside out." The human fleet suddenly scattered in all directions, then regrouped behind the machine lines. While the destroyers tried to readjust their formation, human boarding. Parties were already cutting into their hulls. Humans had learned something the machines couldn't understand. Sometimes the best way to fight technology was to get close enough to touch it. The battle for Centralis Prime lasted 3 days. When it ended, the machine fleet was nothing but debris, and the planet below was safe. The ancient destroyers, the cleaning mechanism that had kept the galaxy quiet for millions of years, had finally met something they couldn't adapt to fast enough. Humanity's unpredictability. In the aftermath, Chancellor Hai-Jin Shin of the Outer Rim Federation received the formal surrender of the Galactic Council. Not to the machines, they were destroyed, but to reality. The old order was broken. The age of stagnation was over. The council chambers where humans had once been exiled were now filled with a very different kind of judgment. Representatives from across the galaxy acknowledged what everyone already knew. Humanity had saved them, all. The price of that salvation was accepting humanity as the galaxy's new leaders. "We offer you full membership in the council," said the Syrian speaker, its mental voice humble. "All the rights and privileges of the elder races." "Chancellor," Shin smiled, "we appreciate the offer, but we're not interested in joining the old council. We're creating something new, something better." The new Galactic Alliance was born in those chambers. Not a hierarchy of elder and younger races, but a partnership of equals. Not a system designed to maintain order through stagnation, but one that encouraged growth through cooperation. The Alliance's first law was simple. No species would be exiled for being different. No civilization would be destroyed for growing too quickly. The galaxy belonged to all who reached for the stars. The Outer Rim colonies became the new centers of galactic civilization. The worlds that had once been humanity's prison were now the capitals of 1,000 species. The dark frontier where humans had been sent to die became the bright future where all life could flourish. And in the deep archives of New Terra, scholars preserved the true history of what had happened. How a species cast out in fear had returned, to save those who had abandoned them. How exile had forged the scattered children of Earth into something stronger than they had ever been before. The age of the Forerunners was over. The age of the machines was over. The age of the Council was over. The age of humanity, and all who chose to grow alongside them, had just begun. On 1,000 worlds, children of a dozen species learned the same lesson in their schools. When the galaxy tried to kill humanity's spirit, it had only made that spirit stronger. When they tried to scatter humans to the winds, they had only taught humans to fly. The exile was over. The real journey was just beginning.